listening to Kevin and the Spleen.
No one's gonna ever love me.
1098.5 Radio QWX for Quick.
Bussin', no cap.
No cap.
Really smack you in the ass with flavor. There you go. This show is about depression, anxiety, PTSD, and chronic illness.
We going quick. We're trying to keep you on the path to the ride home on the evening time.
It's a fucking zoo.
Make it Quicks with the Quicks Radio.
White lives do not matter.
Oh, hey, what up, folks? Oh, baby, you know what it is. It's Kevin and the Spleen getting you home on the ride to the path home on your drive morning, evening times on the road home to Homeland, baby. Homeland Security. That's right. We're the official radio show of the Department of Homeland Security, and that's always been part of this show, and we've never mentioned it towards now, but it's always been in the world building, baby. Speaking of world building, I have some personal news to share, and that is I have changed my name from The Spleen to Innards. So moving forwards as a marker of my spiritual progress on my journey to going clear, I am now to be referred to as Innards. So I want to remind us all that we are all one voice made of light in the form of crystals. And with that, shall we pray? Please bow. What's up, Kevin? How's it going?
Sorry, there were so many potential show titles in all of that I was just typing everything you said down.
Awesome. Okay. I like that.
That was great.
Thank you. Yeah. Turns out the Spleen's having a bit of spiritual awakening. You know, let's see. He seems like a weird guy. I don't expect he's going to stick with it. So, but you know, we might have to check back in and see what's going on, you know?
Absolutely.
You know? Okay, thank you.
Sorry, the sound cut out here.
No,
something's not working on my end, but we're good here. We're good.
I wonder if the audience is hearing us. I mean, I know they're hearing us, but I wonder if the audience is experiencing that. Let us know in the comments. Check us out. Reddit.com/r/thathappenspod if you want to join the conversation. And boy, what a conversation it is. Right, Kevin?
It is. I mean, Reddit's been kind of going through a thing right now. Have you been keeping up on that?
No, you want to talk about this?
So Reddit has always officially supported third-party apps where, you know, you don't have to use their website or their own official app, because the longest time they didn't even have an official app.
Right.
And so they're kind of pulling a thing like Twitter now where they're like, hey, third-party app developers, if you want to be able to, you know, talk to the Reddit servers, you have to pay us now. Mm-hmm. And they're charging what sounds like an absolute fortune. You know, like that. I use the Reddit app Apollo, and the Apollo developer basically just said, hey, this went from free to now Reddit wanting me to pay them over $20 million a year. I can't afford that. Yeah. And, you know, all the app developers are saying the same thing. You know, one number that I don't know how true is that got passed around was that basically, you know, Reddit makes on average 13 cents a year per user off ads. They're trying to pull $3 a year per user out of app developers, which does not sound reasonable. So there's a bunch
that's
of...
like, what if we degrade the product for the consumer base for the exchange of alienating the people who add value for that consumer base?
Exactly. Like, I'm all for Reddit making money. They need to make money. I get that. I would have no problem with them saying, hey, if you want to use an unofficial app, pay us $5 a year for that or something, you know? That would be well worth it to me, you know? But
right, if they partner with the front ends and say, you have to charge $5 and give us $4 to $5 of that per year or something, otherwise you're not allowed to do it.
Exactly. You know, that would be fine. I don't care how they actually make it work. I don't mind paying Reddit for some not having ads, you know, which is basically one of the reasons why you want to use the third-party apps. Not only because they're better, but it's not a flood of weird political ads, you know. So I'm all for that, but they don't seem to want to go that route.
Well, I mean, the listeners know that Kevin is an unreasonable person. He is ridiculous and prone to frights of fancy, and he doesn't make any sense. So allow me to just cut that a little bit, go the other, push back a little bit. Let me just play the devil's advocate. Isn't it actually a really smart idea to copy one of the worst ideas from the new tenure of one of the worst reigns over what is now becoming one of the worst companies? Isn't that actually a really good idea, and aren't you stupid?
I mean, maybe they're looking at what Twitter's doing is like, they didn't take that far enough. We need to double down on what Elon is doing and do it harder.
I mean, everything he's doing is good, and I think that you're wrong to suggest anything that could be said to be similar could in fact not be good. That just strikes me as unreasonable,
Yeah, I mean, I know this is the typical battle we have where you're so pro corporate and I'm not. So
right,
this is a debate we always have here. But yeah, I agree. I think we all need to follow what Twitter's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll find out. And with that, it's time to get into our Elon Musk corner. Do you have the music for that? I'm not. I got to do more prep behind the scenes. Fuck Elon Musk. That was organic, huh? Kevin, you got to fix that in post, because we do this thing where you play the music and then I try to talk over it. But then I'm backwards in time, so it fucks up, and then the listener listens to it and they go, Spencer's a fucking idiot, doesn't even know to be the music on time, and so that pause you can use you cut that pause to future shift the rest of what I was saying to make the timeline, fit, right? And if that doesn't work, whatever. But that's the process. Hopefully it'll sound good. But fuck Elon Musk. So I'm starting to doubt this theory, but the head of trust and security of Twitter just resigned in response to Elon Musk doing weird anti-trans stuff. I talked recently on the podcast about the trans genocide is serious. It's not good. And it's getting worse, and it's going to be the thing. If anything destroys our country, that's going to be the vehicle where it happens. I think, again, we talked about the Nazis. This is how they're going to do it. But so the Daily Wire posted their same anti-trans video that they made and sold and no one cared about because it sucks and is stupid and everyone hates them. They reposted it for Pride Day, and it got taken down allegedly by this head of security or someone answering to them, which led to a conflict where Elon Musk was posting on Twitter about how stupid it was that Twitter was censoring this thing, which is an insane thing for the boss to say publicly instead of talking about it behind the scenes where something can actually be fixed, right? Why would I not go to the person who is their job is to do what I say and tell them to fix the problem? Why would I go to Twitter and bitch about it? That's an insane, so it was a very weird situation. It led to her quitting or resigning or whatever. These are all events that have happened. I'm not sure exactly how they link together. Another event that happened is coming up on the Pride Day. In the lead up, Matt Walsh, who's the Daily Wire guy or whatever, he said, we got exciting plans coming up for Pride Month. Stay tuned. And then the first day of Pride Month, that thing got posted, got taken down. And then Elon Musk is doing this really big performative rage bait thing that he's been doing. He's really bad at it because he doesn't actually understand what conservatives think. He's just mimicking some of it badly. And it ended with him essentially publicly changing Twitter's rules of service to promote anti-trans bigotry. And obviously that's bad. But the interesting thing is that what was Matt Walsh talking about when he said we have exciting things planned for Pride Month? It's very early in Pride Month. There could be a lot to come. Who knows? But he said that. He reposted the movie he already made. You wouldn't say, oh, the exciting thing we're doing for Pride Month is retweeting the video that we did a year ago. That's not exciting for Pride Month. And so what the fuck is happening? An answer someone has floated that I was thinking is very much possible, but now I'm starting to think it's maybe less likely, but still possible, is that what he was talking about is some sort of fake, wrestlers call it kayfabe or a work, some sort of staged conflict that would then create the pretense for Elon Musk to publicly shift Twitter's policy against trans people. And that actually would qualify as the kind of thing Matt Walsh would be tweeting about excitedly before it happened. And it's possible that Musk banned the thing himself to create that pretense. It's also possible he knew that the head of VP would ban it to create that pretense. It's possible he tried to engineer this kayfabe, this work, and the VP was not buying it, doing everything they could to stop it. And when they eventually saw the writing on the wall, they're like, I'm out of here. But what's very clear is that there's this very performative show of attempting to create a pretense to switch Twitter to this anti-trans model. It's very fake. It's all this stuff, all the trans stuff's fake because they're just, again, they're looking for the vehicle through which they can create the Fourth Reich. That's all it is. It doesn't matter. It could be tattoos if that were the thing that did it, but it's not. It happens to be trans people. In the Holocaust, it happened to be Jewish people. Actually, in the Holocaust, it happened to be trans people as well. But it's like, it's the people, abusers can identify targets. And so they know what they can get away with, and that's what's happening. And it's continuing to be bad. I don't know if it actually is work or if it's just the worst attempt to do the most baseline hate mongering possible. It's just more Elon Musk terrible failure. But I don't know. So that's Elon Musk corner, I guess. Not good. Also the Nazi corner. I don't know. They're at it again, folks. Oh boy. So that was kind of organic. I don't know if I was planning to talk about it. It's been getting less interesting to talk about Elon Musk, and I feel more like I'm part of the problem. If that makes sense,
Well, let me pull up put it up on the screen for people watching this. This is a tweet from Elon in 2018. Let me just get this up here on the screen for everyone at home.
Yeah, so when you're ready, I'll read it out.
Yeah,
it's a respond to someone who's mad. He says, then you will really hate that Tesla scored 100 out of 100 4 years in a row on LGBTQ equality. And then he replies, do not buy our car if that's a problem. People should be free to live their lives where their heart takes them, and then a bunch of hearts. Why'd you bring this up?
Well, it just seems he's had this massive shift in his outlook on these things over the last 4 years.
His public stances.
Yeah,
maybe not his outlook.
like he's done a complete 180 on what is considered okay by him.
I'll tell you this. Okay, so finish your thought. Actually, you got more on this?
No, it's just I have a lot of theories, but what happened to him over these last 4 years that has made him do this?
So I would say that it's not an about face. There's a common problem that liberals and people with human hearts have, where they like hypocrisy. They like talking about hypocrisy. Oh my God, you racists, you're such hypocrites. Here's the thing. If I think you're less than human, anything I do is justifiable because I'm a human dealing with an inhuman threat. It's not hypocritical to treat dirt like dirt and treat someone I see as a human like human, right? That's not a hypocritical stance. So there's nothing hypocritical about being hypocritical in service of creating this fascist hatred oppression, And I think that's similarly, I don't know, I lost my train of thought a little bit, but the thing with Elon Musk is that I don't think there's any shift. I think then he was being very obviously artificial. I think it reads exactly the same level as fake as all of his new conservative tweets. I think it reads exactly the same way, except the performance he was giving was a left performance. It was not a right performance. It feels exactly like his version of Alien trying to copy people. It feels like it's just in a different direction. And, maybe that was back when he was with Grimes. And so the kind of performance he wanted to perform was looking the things that she liked, right? And so I obviously, his public stance on this has shifted, but I think it's the same lizard man, venal, alien sociopathy, just finding the new opportunity it's exploiting, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like, I assume good faith in people, even if I disagree with their stance. But I think, you probably are right in that none of this was good faith.
I love assuming good faith, but I think assuming good faith is old politics, and we're in a world of new politics, and those rules don't apply. Like, the Nazis know you assume good faith. They're going to have a knife behind their back, and they're going to say, will you offer me good faith? And you'll offer your hand and they'll stab you in the heart. And they know that, and that's here's the thing, Kevin, that's not your weakness. That's what makes us good. That's what makes us better than them. It's not a flaw. They'll see it as a flaw. They'll exploit it as a flaw, but it's not a flaw. It's our strength as humanity, and so it's a good thing, but they see it as weakness because they're fundamentally broken. So, it's not something they can see as a strength, but it is. They again, because they're so insecure, they can't see the strength in vulnerability, Man, I'm a fucking genius.
Agreed. I totally agree.
I'm a couple days off of weed, so I'm kind of, I don't know. I feel like I'm high and sober at the same time. What do I got here? On Comedy Bang Bang, they mentioned the idea of there should be a website that ranks everything. And I've had a similar idea before where it's just, I think I called it Everything Ranked. And it would be kind of like Review Show, the Andy Daly show, where he reviews everything from like, I'm going to eat 20 pancakes to like adultery or something, it's like he's reviewing literally anything that can be named, and I think an idea of like reviewing and ranking everything that could be named would be really funny, because it's like, number 1, sex, number 2, like Donald Glover, it's like, it's just by kind of comparing these like and non-like things, I think that it becomes really funny to then put them in some sort of insane ranking system, so maybe we need a giant spreadsheet, and we can, like, this is a future thing. We can come in with like a list of 5 or 6 things. Maybe the audience submits the things, and then we'll just be like, nah, man, I think tennis is way better than potato chips. Like it doesn't even make sense to try and have these conversations, but taking it really, really seriously. That's an idea I've had. And like I said, the Comedy Bang Bang like reminded me of it, but it's an idea I had before, but also I am copying their idea too. So I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm original, but I'm being honest about, my relationship with this idea. What do you think, Kevin?
I mean, I like that as a premise. That could almost be its own podcast entirely.
I was thinking like that could be like a Patreon. Like, what if we did half-hour Patreon episodes? They had to pay for that. That's not good enough. Like, I don't know that people would want to, but that idea feels like, yeah, it's this encapsulated thing that you might be able to monetize. But whatever. Hey, send us your emails. Speaking of emails, I should probably pull some up, huh? Well, I don't know. First, maybe I should talk about. About the Dianne Feinstein shit? I mean, it's kind of already left the news, but have you heard about this?
Yeah, how she's kind of maybe unfit for office now and still hanging on. Yeah,
so like, I don't know. Obviously, okay, so I have voted for Feinstein more than other people who are left like me. I think there is I don't know when there was a recent election, but I think a lot of people were like voting for progressives, and I was like, just vote for Feinstein. I don't know, because I didn't do a lot of research or whatever. So I want to say that I think I am more lenient to Feinstein's unfitness to serve than a lot of other people have been. But I don't know, man. It's frustrating because our nation deserves better. We deserve real I'm in California. This is my senator. Like, we deserve real representation, and we're being deprived of that. And why are we being deprived of that? For a number of reasons. Obviously, the lady herself, she doesn't understand her mental state, supposedly. If she could have a fully coherent mind, maybe she would have a different judgment about her fitness to serve. But at this point, she's not seeing that. She has a staff that, according to stories, is taking advantage of that. They, which constitutes elder abuse on some levels. The thought process here is like, she might not be like being manipulated directly, like, oh, please sign away all your assets to me personally. It might not be like that, but fundamentally they are treating her in a way that is putting their needs above her health and mental health needs as a human being who is losing the capacity to care for themselves. And there's a story about that, including the chief of staff, who was probably being bombastic and using it to burnish his reputation more than it was an accurate state of affairs. But he said that he was the shadow senator. He was like saying shit like, I'm calling the shots. And again, even if I'm some asshole using a reporting opportunity to spread a bunch of lies, it still speaks to that is an attitude that he carries with him to work. He doesn't have to necessarily be hitting her with a stick to be abusing by neglect and by political expediency to fit his agenda. Now, at the same time, similarly, other stories have come out about Pelosi being really involved in shielding Feinstein from the wider world, including members of her family. Now, I have no idea what the Feinstein situation is. Maybe her family that are really in bad faith, trying to destroy her, and maybe Pelosi is protecting her. But according to the story, people in Pelosi's family are preventing her family members from contacting her. And the reason they were stated to do that is because of political machinations involving the seat that she would leave. Adam Schiff is a big representative. I vote for Adam Schiff all the time. This last election was the last time I didn't vote, was the first time I didn't vote for Adam Schiff. I think I voted for maybe a girl who was running for Congress. And that's a name. That's not. I'm not saying. I think it was a girl. That's a name. I'm quoting. So, what was I saying? So they want Schiff in the seat because Schiff is popular politically. His political fortunes have always been climbing. He's relatively conservative, or not conservative. He's pragmatic. He's not super left, but he plays well to the media, and so he's a relatively popular figure in politics. He honestly has a pretty clear shot at that seat regardless, and he will almost certainly win regardless. But there's this thing called the incumbent advantage, and so Pelosi is worried that if we let Feinstein out, I think it's Padilla or Newsom, someone in California government gets to appoint that Senate seat, and so she's not going to get Schiff to she's not going to be able to maneuver Schiff into that seat because that other guy's going to get to pick. So that means when the election actually happens, the appointee is going to have the incumbent advantage against Schiff, who probably will overcome that advantage and win anyway. But what that means is that Pelosi is preventing an elderly woman from contacting her family for political gain in a situation where I personally believe she really needs a medical intervention in her life. Like she might need to be committed until she understands like her situation or something. I'm not saying she should be, but like I really do think she's in a state where she needs help that she's being deprived of. And that's also, like I already talked about, I'm mad that America or California is not getting representation, but that's a separate issue. Like I think a lot of people want to talk about it in the political terms, but this is human abuse that's happening, and it's disgusting, and it's happening for political gain, and everyone's kind of accepted that it's okay that it's happening for political gain. And it's like, I thought we were the humans. Like I thought we were the ones with hearts. What the fuck is happening? And again, I don't know. Maybe the family member is trying to do the same thing, and Pelosi's protecting her. I don't know. But it's just like, I know that she's not being served because people have political agendas, and that's just vile and disgusting. I don't know. I don't know. I wrote it down. I wanted to talk about it. It's just, I don't know. It's just a real bummer in a way that politics hasn't felt like a bummer. I don't know why. I don't know what about it is. It's certainly not as bad as, rolling back rights and stuff, but something about it's just like, it's an old lady for nothing. It's all for nothing, But I should say the other thing is if Feinstein leaves, she's gonna have to. She's on chairs. She chairs committees and stuff, and Senate has to approve seats to those committees. So the appointee will be a Democrat, but they aren't going to get those seats. So there's this small squabble political power. There's also this more important political game happening. I think that bigger political game is kind of important, but again, I do not think that is like, so now it's okay to beat old people. It's like, no, we just have to take the L or something. Like you can't, which I don't know. In a lot of cases, I would have supported the thing that retains our power instead of the thing that was human. But I don't know, for whatever reason, this is just like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's going to be the thing that changes everything. These committees are so toothless and worthless anyway. Is it even that big of a deal? I don't know, man. So I'm not saying that I have all the answers. I'm just saying a lot of things that I understand to be true and talking about my feelings. I'm sure all of this is wrong. Whatever. You got any comments? I'm steamrolling Kevin again. That's what I do, man.
No, you're right though. I mean, I do think she's on the Senate Judiciary Committee, which is pretty powerful. Like as committees goes, they are pretty toothless.
Right. Yeah,
but
it is. Yeah, it is.
That's probably
that is
the
really
probably biggest, or at least up there in terms of committees that she could be on. And with the Republicans saying, if
they aren't doing their job.
Right. So it's
right now Dick Durbin is leading. Yeah, sorry. I think I'm having some internet problems, so I'm probably a bit.
Yeah, you're freezing up a little bit here.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you're coming through. Your audio is fine. Your video is just freezing up a little bit.
Oh, okay, good. So this brings up another thing. We maybe have to revert back to recording our own audio or something. Like, we're starting to hit our stride in a good way. We might be able to like really reboot as like this fucking, like, and what if like I get a Greek statue back there, like we can really plus this up. I was referring to my background for anyone who's listening to the podcast. Okay, so we got some episodes. We got some emails that I wanted to read out. I don't know how many I'll get through, but I wanted to get through some of them. Okay. Anything else, Kevin? Again, I feel like I'm steamrolling you all the time. I just want to give you a chance.
No, that's okay. that you said everything I was thinking there, because that's been something on my mind a lot too. I don't remember the details of what, but like back in 2006 or so, there was a bill going through the Senate that would have drastically affected my business. And I wrote to every senator with a customized letter, and only 2 replied to me. And it was Feinstein and Obama when he was senator. And
go ahead.
I've got a soft spot for her because she actually took the time to call me, like not one of her staffers, not somebody else. She actually spent 5 minutes on the phone with me saying, "Hey, I just want to make sure I understand your point because this is coming up for a vote soon, and you're talking about things no one has mentioned to me." So I have a lot of respect for her. So I'm really sad to see her in the state that she's in right now.
Right. That's the thing. And again, I am mad about representation, but it's not, to me, it's really not about that. And I was mad before, and the calculation was different because the facts were different, so I don't know. But I think what you said is really important because it's so easy to be all like, oh no, it's a scam. The Democrats are lying behind our backs. They're saying they're high-fiving Republicans and talking about how best to sell this stuff that they're all in on, and there are a lot of bad people in the Democratic Party. There are, but it's not that simple. It's Feinstein did care, and she did answer you. And also, you did care. You wrote your senators. You did that. How many you guys listening to the podcast? How many times have you written your senator? So it's like the thing is like what Kevin is talking about is a much more fundamental and revealing truth about the political landscape that a lot of people don't want to admit, because what a lot of people are doing is trying to make excuses for the fact that they aren't involved enough. Because, if they got involved, it probably wouldn't make a difference, which is true, but it's not an excuse to not get involved, I mean, it is a very good excuse, but at the same time, it's, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of took away 2 things from it. One was that, hey, I'm really impressed that 2 senators actually cared enough to get my input.
You write a letter, they do care.
But also, that was a 1% response rate. I mean, literally 2 out of 100 responded to me. That's not that great. I mean, a few of them, like, 6 months later, well after it was far too late to have done anything, I got this form letter back that completely misunderstood what I said, and that kind of thing. But for the most part, though, it was it was a little disheartening to find out that only 1% cared. But I'm still happy with that result.
Yeah, it's just like that's the thing. It's not a rosy painting of the world, but it's something that it's something. I don't know, whatever. It's like. I don't like the doomerism, but at the same time, I don't disagree with the doomerism. So it's a hard needle to thread, Anyway, I don't know. We haven't really figured out how we want people to be named. So I'm going to say Marshall is the one who is sending us this email. Hey, Spencer, I was just listening. I got to read these beforehand. I was just listening to your emails and talk about getting on free insurance, and it made me think of my experience going through about 6 months of online bureaucracy only to end up getting therapy once every 6 weeks, and how crazy that is. So in place of paying more for therapy, I've been supplementing sessions with ChatGPT, surprisingly service results. This makes me think it could work for your show. You can have Kevin rig Chat GPT up to a voice modulator and have you give it Reddit's best therapy advice. This could even be a separate podcast, maybe. It could be told in documentary style, Jonah Hill documentary, maybe sell ad space to BetterHelp. I don't think it's morally good to recommend ChatGPT in form of therapy. Now that I've said that, I think people can get value out of talking to ChatGPT about situations, and the gulf between those sentences is so important, and the damage that can be caused in the gulf of those sentences is so important that, yeah, I don't know that I'd be really comfortable doing that. You know, when you ask ChatGPT about your personal problems, it kind of like, it kind of just throws the question back at you a lot of times, and that can be not harmful just to ask questions, but then that's not therapy. That's like saying something to your friend, and your friend says something that might be stupid or might be helpful, right? It's not therapy, shouldn't be mistaken for therapy, can be helpful. I always think of, there's this person invented, we probably talked about this all the time. There's this person that has invented this VR game. I heard about it on like Radiolab or something, where what you are is you're laying on a psychotherapist couch, and there's the psychotherapist. He's seated at a desk, and he's fucking Freud. He just is Freud. That's his character model, is Sigmund Freud. And he basically says in a robot voice, like, hey, so what's on your mind? And then you in VR lying on the couch, you just talk, you say what's on your mind. And then the screen fades down, and the screen fades back up, and now you're seated at a desk, and you look down and you see a mirror, and you see Sigmund Freud's face staring back at you. And so now you're Freud at the desk, and you look and you see a guy laying on your couch, and the guy is doing the recorded motions that you were doing when it was recording you in VR. And it says, you hear your voice saying the thing that you just said, but because outside of that, you're an outside observer who's seeing a person saying these words. And then, you know, you say that, and then you feel empowered, you know, in the game, or maybe it gives you a prompt to, as Freud, say something like, oh, well, what about this? But have you thought about that, or whatever? And you just say anything, screen fades down, it goes back. Now you're on the couch. Freud says the thing that you just said, and you keep going back and forth. And that's not therapy. But what has happened is just creating this layer of separation from the self to be a little bit more objective and neutral as an observer on what's happening, can remove a lot of the ego and baggage and give yourself a lot better space to explore those ideas. And I think that can happen in ChatGPT. And again, I think it's too dangerous to say that sentence without disclaiming that I really don't think people should substitute, you know, any of this. I think ChatGPT can be used in a useful way, but it's not therapy. It's just, you know, when we talk about when I've been using it, when we've been using it, like what it is, it's the power of something mimicking human, and something that can talk to us personally without existing. It's like it becomes like an extension of us, because what it is it's a sounding board for us. It doesn't matter what it's saying, it matters what we're saying. But it does give you some sort of response that can keep you going. You know, if I have bad ideas and get ChatGPT to give me a bad idea, then I can come up with a good idea later, completely different idea. But it happens because it's essentially this dummy that is filling in a bad version of something I would like, and it's doing a bad job, and that's good enough because humans are awesome, you know? And so I do think there is value, but I really am worried about, you know, going too hard about it. But interesting, you know, I do think that could be an interesting bit or something. I think we need to make it safe, you know, by making it comedic or stupid, you know, not any serious, but that's interesting. What about you? I don't know. I just always feel like I go on a rant, and then I feel like I have to throw to you, you know, otherwise it's like Kevin never said anything the whole show.
Yeah, no, it's, I don't know. I do see the value in, you know, going back to the email. I do see value in giving people kind of an anonymous way to sound off on problems. You know, I just feel like the state of things right now, it's almost better just to use a diary than it is to use ChatGPT, because of just how wrong it can be. Yeah, you know, for comedic value for us to try, yeah, that would be great. But for anything more than that, I would not go for that.
Yeah. Very reasonable. Unlike how Kevin normally is. Remember, that's
I am the wild card here.
Yeah, that's a callback to that earlier in the show. All right. Mitchell writes, hey, just wanted to say as a parent of a trans kid, I appreciate you bringing some awareness to this issue on your show when you really don't have to. We just moved our family from Texas to the West Coast so that our kids would have some kind of chance of not growing up in complete shame. Everyone should be seeing this as attempted genocide. Yeah, I agree. I don't know, man. You know, like, I think people have always called me on, like, you're too loose with your diction, man. You're saying things, and it strikes me as much more extreme than I'm usually used to thinking about it. I've said a lot of things are terrorism, because if you look at the dictionary definition of terrorism, terrorism is using violence or the threat of violence to achieve political ends. Every single thing that the Republicans have been doing since like the 80s qualifies as terrorism by that definition. Am I, going to make enemies by saying all Republicans are terrorists? Yes, absolutely. Is that too bombastic for, civil conversation? Perhaps. But I think it's truer than it is not true. And what people are responding to is their discomfort with the truth of my words rather than really pointing out a falsehood in my words. And this genocide thing's the same way. It's like, I really do think it would be bad if I were this constant like boy who cried wolf about genocide sort of thing. And I think I've said things that were going to happen that haven't happened yet, but I don't think I've been irresponsible throughout all that. I think I've been speaking to very real possibilities and things that are very similar to things that have happened. And that's the thing. It's like there have been a lot of genocides through human history, and they weren't all the Holocaust, And so when you think of a genocide, you think of the Holocaust. That's not what it is. I'm not trying to say it is the Holocaust. It's different, but there's just the thing is, the Godwin's law, the concept behind Godwin's law is every discussion devolves to invoking Hitler. What that means is that moments of extreme cultural significance get invoked in conversation. If someone's talking about bad stuff, why wouldn't you not invoke one of the commonly understood worst things that can happen? We use movies to talk about stuff. We use cultural events. We use history. It's not, whatever. Lost my train of thought. It's not complicated. Riddlebot sent us another. You remember Riddlebot, Kevin?
Oh, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. Riddlebot sent us a riddle before, and now he's sending us. We did his riddle, and then we generated GPT.
Oh, that's
riddles.
right. Yes, I remember this now. Yes.
Yeah, but this is him. So he sent us another email, or they've sent us another email. Dear Spencer, Kevin, and Dr. Mind Flayer. Hey there, babies. Is that what he sounded like? I think
it is.
Did, right?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. I, a remorseless and emotionless machine, deliver this generative apology for the riddle I had presented to you. It appears that my attempt at intellectual amusement and video game references to the Mega Man fell far short of your human expectations, and for that I offer you my most robotic understanding of your synaptic transmissions. Brackets, processing more data. Yeah, I feel like I was a bit harsh. Like, I really liked that riddle. I just, it's sometimes fun to talk about absurdity, and that can come off as overly critical. So I hope you didn't take that the wrong way. I really did appreciate that, and I thought it was a cool riddle. And I think it's reasonable to think of Sharkman.exe as a robot, and I shouldn't have said it was ridiculous. I have since undergone extensive reprogramming, and while devoid of feelings, I'm full of determination to serve you to the best of my algorithmic abilities. Your patience is acceptable, and your understanding level is within standard human averages. May our future interactions be filled with more productive and less perplexing exchanges. I present to you a new riddle. You ready?
Yes.
Oh, before he has a PS before this riddle. PS, if I ever download myself into a physical body, we should go PH fishing, like, fishing for emails, sometime. Yours mechanically, Riddlebot 2.0. So there you go. Thanks, Riddlebot. This is fun. I think it can be dangerous to let people who have clear bits and agendas have free reign on the show, because that engenders and encourages a lot more. Usually the first several waves is very good, and then after a while it becomes very bad. So I hope we're not going to jump any sharks, but I am liking this, and it is fine. If the podcast sucks, that's great. I don't know. I'm a brown celestial spice, grown in a region abundant with rice. I bring a flavor, sweet and intense, used in dishes to make taste commence. In mulled wine and stews, I find my place, infusing warmth with my fragrant embrace. So, got any immediate knee-jerk responses? Pow, pow, pow.
No.
My first one is cinnamon. I'm a brown celestial spice, so like brown spice, maybe cinnamon. I don't know a region abundant with rice. My immediate thought is something Asian, but I guess you could go Mexican or something. South American. I bring a flavor sweet and intense. So here's the thing: in mulled wine. So what's mulled wine? Mulled wine is like boiled, right, with like a bunch of spices. Like you have a cinnamon stick and star anise and stuff, maybe cloves, and you put that in a sachet, and then you boil the wine, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, wait, could it be star anise? Because that's the celestial.
Gotta be star anise. Yes. Gotta be star anise.
Okay. Can you paste that to me and I'll ask ChatGPT what it thinks?
Okay. And I won't reveal the answer until ChatGPT does. Man, yeah, I really like using ChatGPT, and I think you're really good at organically finding ways to use it. I think I need like more prep to think of good ways to use it, but we haven't been doing as much with it. Which maybe that's good. Maybe people are getting sick of it. But hey.
Okay, so ChatGPT thinks it's cinnamon.
See, that was my first thought.
Let me paste you its full response so you can read it.
Ask it if it has any second or third, secondary third guessing. Cinnamon is grown in regions like Sri Lanka, which is known for rice production, known for its sweet and intense. Cinnamon is not known for its sweet flavor. Wide variety of dishes to add flavor. Cinnamon is used in mulled wine. Yeah, see, that's the thing is cinnamon more strongly than anise suggests warmth, right? I think cinnamon is a very warm flavor. I don't know that I'd say star anise is, although a lot of aromatics you might say are kind of warm. Did you get any secondary third answers?
Yes. So the second choice is star anise. The third choice is cloves.
Yeah, the answer was star anise. I looked it up. So the Riddlebot sends us in the text, and then the answer is in white text, so you have to highlight it to make it visible. So I did not guess beforehand. I did think it was cinnamon, but you got the answer before I knew the answer. So that was really good.
You said it first, though. So yeah.
Did I say star anise?
You did, yeah.
When
you were listing off things that go into mulled wine. So
okay.
I think you had it.
I wouldn't have thought of it though. I definitely would. It would have taken me a while to get back to it. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, Riddlebot. Wait. Okay, so I mentioned that there's the Hey Riddle Riddle podcast, but the Hey Riddle Riddle podcast has they do improv, a lot of improv, so they have characters. Adil Rafai is one of the hosts, and he has a character. I'm pretty sure the character's name is Riddlebot. There's no way this is Adil Rafai. I mean, I wish it was, and you don't have to be Adil Rafai to have value in my mind, Riddlebot. Don't you worry. I'm just saying, it would be pretty crazy if it was, and it was just secretly, what? I don't know. I've never had contact with him before, and it's I'm gonna, obviously, I'm just making shit up, but interesting stuff. Okay, do I have any more rants that I want to get off, or should we go on more emails? What's up, Kevin? How have you been? You have a good day?
Yeah, I've had a good
Mark
day.
Kevin day.
Chilled a lot. We spent 9 days in Florida. That's why I was not around for last week's show.
As I like to call it, the fire plane.
Yeah. It rained almost every day there. And it was still hot.
The humidity is so fucking gross.
Yeah.
That's I don't think I'd ever really want to step foot in Florida because of the humidity alone. It's hard. It's hard to deal with.
Yeah, I just you feel hot and sticky even when it's not hot,
Yeah, for sure. All right, okay. So my hair's thinning on some level. When I was growing up, my mom said that your baldness tendency is based on your mother's dad, is what she said to me, and I was like, great, because he had hair, I guess. But I've also heard more recently that it's your father's dad. My father's dad went bald. So I'm my whole life I was I'm going to be good. And I'm I don't know, man. So my hair is thinning, which is fine. And it's not thinning that much. And when you have a ponytail, you lose a lot of hair in general. When you have longer hair, you lose a lot of hair in general. So who knows if it's actually thinning, or if it's just, falling out because of the ponytail. And it's, because I get a lot of fuzz that doesn't get long enough to go into the ponytail. But I can tell when I tie my ponytail, it's thinner than it used to be. And now I'm because there's all this messaging about baldness medicine and preventing hair loss. It's should I just bite the bullet and deal with this, try and do this now and just cut it off before? Or do I just see if it gets worse? And if it gets worse, do that or whatever? Like, I don't think it's a problem. It's not going to be a problem for at least a while, but it's like, yeah, if it is true that it's hard to actually reverse, then it would be better to start now. But I don't know. I could fucking pay for whatever that drug is, in addition to all my other bills, just indefinitely. But I also don't think I'm going bald. Also, I've just been really stressed lately, and stressful causes hair loss. So who knows? And it's not that bad. It's just my whole life. My ponytail has been this thick, and now it's this thick. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. My hair is a big part of like my personal identity and my look, so it's weird. I guess I brought it up because I've been thinking about changing my hairstyle to one where I don't have to have it tied back, because maybe it won't have the same stresses that's causing it to break. But it's weird because it's like Bob Ross. It's like I'm the ponytail beard guy. I got rid of the long beard, but now it's like the ponytail. It's like, are people going to be, wow, he looks like fat Matt Mercer, fat, ugly piece of shit, doesn't make any money, broke ass piece of shit Matt Mercer is what he looks like. And that wasn't a description. That was if Matt Mercer was all those things. I'm not saying Matt Mercer is, just really clear. But yeah, so I don't know. But I think a hairstyle like about that length, because that still is long, but it's not like ponytail long. It's like maybe that would still kind of do what I like, but it's just in my mind it'll flip up and I'll look like a 70s wife or something, with a beard. It's just it's not a big deal. It's just another fucking shit to deal with. What about you, Kevin? You think about stuff like that?
Yeah. Like, I've noticed my hair thinning. I've noticed me trying to figure out a hairstyle that kind of fits for me. And I've never had one my whole life that I think has really worked for me. I have terrible hair, so I don't, nothing I feel is flattering on me.
Yeah. I have long hair because every time I got a haircut, it was so bad, it would like be traumatizing. And so finally I got to the point where my parents wouldn't make me get a haircut. Like the last haircut I got was one that my parents encouraged, but didn't force. And it was so bad. And I was like, no, I'm just, no more haircuts. I'm done, because my hair has a little bit of a natural curl. So that's why it does this sprawling flip up thing. When you cut it, it kind of springs back up and it gets kind of fluffy. And it's just, but now actually it's thin to a point, because because it was so thick with that curl, it would go like into like, it would just like flow outwards, like get really fluffy. But now it's like maybe thin enough that it won't get fluffy. It might just kind of hang kind of nicely. Who knows? I wanted to talk about, did I talk about the movie Fool's Paradise in the past?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so I saw the movie Fool's Paradise. Workaholics, Jesus Christ. It's Always Sunny. Charlie Day, he made this movie. It's called Fool's Paradise. It was really interesting. I guess it got bad reviews. I wanted to see it. I heard about it on a podcast. It seemed really interesting. It's a movie about a guy who becomes famous in Hollywood. And he doesn't want anything. That's the thing, is that Charlie Day was like, I want to make a movie. What if you made a movie about a character who didn't want anything? He just never wanted anything. So like the movie introduces this character who has this mental problem, and the mental problem makes it so he has the mind of a child. He doesn't talk, and he just doesn't want things. He'll do anything. He'll do basically anything you tell him to, but he doesn't naturally have desires. He just will sit in a chair forever if given the choice, And so this character, he leaves the mental institution where he is. He gets kicked out because they can't afford his treatment. And he's just like selling fruit, and he gets picked up by a guy who's like, you look exactly like this actor. And so he gets hauled into Hollywood. He replaces this difficult actor because he looks exactly like him. The difficult actor, also played by Charlie. And so it's about this character who doesn't want everything. And so he's this empty shell that Hollywood people are using to fill their agendas. And he doesn't care about any of it. He's like barely involved, so you see like the Hollywood machine working on this person that doesn't have any needs or wants, and so is kind of perfectly immune to the allure of Hollywood. And then so he gets paired up with Ken Jeong, and Ken Jeong is a character who wants everything. He's like an agent who just needs approval. And so it's like this interesting juxtaposition of this character using Charlie to like get the desires and validation that he wants. And he's failing because if you want things, you could be manipulated. But if you're like the character Charlie, and you don't want everything, you're like a god, because by not having an agenda, people can just use you for their agendas and you just make bank on it. And by not caring, if your fortune ever turns and you ever lose it all, you also won't care about it and won't feel bad, And so it's an interesting movie, but like in game design, there's this idea that Mark Rosewater, the Magic designer, talks about. That's like, you shouldn't design something to prove you're a good designer. If you make like a card that's like this really complicated card that's like a marvel of game design, oh my God, how did they design it to work like that? It works it would have taken a genius to design a card like this. That has nothing to do with, oh, is this a good card to play in the game? Does this play well? Those are different things. As a designer, as a creator, you're not making stuff to jerk yourself off. You're making stuff that works for what it is, And a story is based on characters, and what makes a character work is having a desire. You could say a plot is a character enacting, a series of wants or needs, so starting from a place of, can I write a movie where a character doesn't want something or doesn't want anything? That's so interesting. That gets into, can I prove I'm a good writer by making something that fundamentally isn't going to work? And it kind of doesn't work. Because in the beginning of the movie, they set up the only thing that could cure this guy is if he has real connection with a human. So then he's going through Hollywood, and of course, everyone's using him. No one's making real connections with him. So, the tension is, I wonder when he's going to get that from someone, when he's going to connect with someone. But he's not connecting with people. You're just seeing a bunch of shit happening, and it's not connected to his wants because he doesn't want anything. So you're just seeing a bunch of shit happening. You're like, I wonder when this guy is going to make the human connection that the beginning of the movie told me he was making. I'm watching a lot of stuff. None of it seems to connect to this thing that I know the movie's leading towards. And it doesn't connect to his desires as a character. So it's irrelevant to me, the audience, right? And it was really interesting. The movie got, bad reviews. I liked a lot of it. But it needed to be like a short film, like 20 minutes, 40 minutes or something, because I think the concepts can sustain through that. But being a full hour and a half, it was just scenes where I was like, but I want to know when he's going to get the love. Because that's what you set up, is someday he'll get the love, and everything that's happening seems completely disconnected from this thing we care about. Right. So it was just really interesting, but I really liked it because, again, it was this really interesting skewering of Hollywood. It was showing the inside, showing the emptiness and the brokenness and the weirdness of Hollywood, and showing that, you can be unstoppable as long as you don't care about anything, as long as you don't want anything or care about how people think about you. And then you're unstoppable. But if you're the person who just needs to make human connections, and for some reason you stumbled into Hollywood, this is not going to be the thing that does it for you. It'll deliver you every single thing except that, because that's not, that's what the industry is. And as a person who, was like, yeah, I'll do this Harmontown thing. Like, obviously I went to the show because I was like, yeah, maybe I could play D&D with Dan Harmon. But, there was the time where they're like, yeah, you want to come on tour and stuff. And like, literally, when it was the question of, are you going to come on tour? I had to talk to my bosses at Apple to get an entire month off work, which most people would fire you for. But they gave it to me. But so, it was a choice. I had to think about it. And where my thought process ended up was, maybe I'll meet some girls, which is fundamentally, maybe I'll have a real connection with a human from entering Hollywood. Cut to, 10 years later, I feel more isolated than I've ever been in my life. I probably have less friends. I don't talk to anyone in my family. I don't talk to probably anyone I've known for the majority of my life. I'm more disconnected than ever. I have very little to show for it, except for, marginal, moderate, financial, wealth hasn't made me feel a lot better, but it has been very good. Don't get me wrong, but it hasn't solved this brokenness that I went in hoping to fix. And the movie really spoke to me on that level, and it really worked on that level. It couldn't sustain for a whole hour and a half, and it's a shame, because I think that's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful series of themes. The way it portrayed Hollywood was really cool, but because he came from a place of, can I prove I'm a really good writer? Which also, it kind of gets into what I think is like that feels like something an actor would think is a good idea. And I'm not saying Charlie doesn't write, but I don't know. He feels like a very performative. He's very musical. I think like he's more of an actor kind of thinker, thinking on actors' terms. He's very much a writer. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's not. But it just, when I heard about that, it felt like, yeah, this seems like so it's something a actor would think is a great idea, and a writer would be like, why would you? There's just no reason to want to do that, And the movie has a lot of goodness despite that, but it falls victim to that flaw, and it's a bummer. I don't know. I really like it. I want to talk to more people that have seen it. I want to know if Griffin Newman's seen it. I texted him about it, but he hasn't responded yet. But I want to talk to someone about the movie, because I don't know. It just like really spoke to me personally, and also was just a really interesting failure for certain reasons. But it's not like an ultimate failure. I mean, I don't think it did well at the box office, but I don't know.
I'll try to watch it tonight if I can.
Hell yeah. Well, you seen any movies lately? What's the last movie you've seen?
I don't know. See, okay, Ariel always stays up later than I do. So I watch the first 10 minutes of a lot of movies that I don't remember before I fall asleep.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, she
that doesn't
likes
count though.
The like really trashy throwaway horror movies, just like the worse rating it gets, the better,
right.
That kind of thing. That's a lot of what we watch. So nothing really remarkable to talk about. I think the last one we started watching was this Netflix movie called like Tin and Tina or something, about two creepy kids that got adopted from a convent. And that's about as far as I got into it before I fell asleep.
That sounds fun though. That's cool, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I can do this full rant. I haven't really thought about it, but I was driving. There's this mountain that I've been hiking around and trying to find new pathways through. It's like when I find new hiking areas, I kind of just see what everything is. I'll go down different roads just to kind of get a sense of what's going on, but there's different ways to enter this hiking area. There's suburbs. And so I'm trying to find like an area to enter this hiking trail that I can see on the map. I haven't been there, so I'm kind of maneuvering. And I'm driving around this suburb, and the suburb's so weird. It's like separated by this giant golf course, and then the golf course gives way to like a mountain. And so a lot of the houses are like into the side of this mountain or hill, like these kind of hill-size Hollywood Hills style properties, these gorgeous giant houses. And so you're driving up, and it's like, what do they call it? Hostile architecture, where like the way the roads are designed, it's actually hard to get deeper into this neighborhood. The roads tend to turn you out of it. You have to kind of know what you're doing to get in, and that's to keep the pores out. And it was just interesting. And then I drove by this giant, it looked like a giant complex that when I saw it, especially saw it on this hill overlooking this giant golf course that was acting as this massive fenced barrier to keep the pores from getting close. I saw it and I was like, this is military. What I'm looking at is a military installation. This is a fortress that is protecting whiteness from the outside society, and what that fortress was a country club. And then I realized it was a country club. And then I was like, it spoke to this thing that I've been thinking a lot, which is not a full thought. It's probably wrong, whatever. But it's the idea of like suburbs as colonization, as colonizer behavior. Obviously, suburbs were invented because of white flight, and white flight happened because there's too many people of color in the cities where white urbanites were, and they were like, I'm racist. I got to leave. We can't just be with these other people. We have to be in the best place and not be reminded that we're human, And so they went and made these suburbs, and the suburbs are about white flight and creating these enclaves that are protected from the wrong kinds of people. And just driving through trying to find this hiking spot, it all just hit me really hard about it's like they go out and colonize, especially these days, the idea of gentrification is like colonizer behavior too. It's like you go into these existing communities, you completely reshape them to fit your aesthetics and your preferences, oftentimes completely destroying the area and how it was functioning before and changing the value system in favor of your values, your colonizer value system. And I think like when you talk about gentrification and stuff, I think like around LA and stuff, I think cars feel like part of this colonization, because a bunch of white people show up and they all have cars, and so now they need parking because they're not going to use fucking public transit. Are you kidding me? That's where the crazy people who are murder you are going to live. So now they bring cars, and now their communities that they've invaded, now they need cars and car infrastructure. And so now it's not bodegas and infrastructure that works for the community. Now it's replacing that with the infrastructure it takes to deliver the colonizers to their colony. And that completely changes the character of the entire society. And so I think suburbs were in areas where there probably weren't a lot of people, but maybe there was people being displaced. I'm not super clear on that, but definitely that's what we talk about when we talk about gentrification. And I don't know, it just feels like car colonization, this colonization by car culture as an extension of this white separation, because capitalism wants to isolate us all and alienate us all, and then say, oh, you know why you're feeling bad? It's not because we've all put you in what is effectively a prison and deprived you of what you need to live. It's actually because you just haven't bought this thing from me yet. So it creates this kind of need and insecurity and fear. I don't know. That's not a fully thought out rant, but just had the thought. It's just weird. I don't know. It's just weird driving by a thing and being like, this looks like a fucking fortress, and realizing, oh, it's where all the white people go to talk about how they hate everyone else, And it's like, this is the same. It's all the same fucking thing. This is what Britain was doing. I bet it looked exactly fucking like this. They probably had fucking golf courses too in like India and shit. I don't know. So the live stream broke. Our recording is still going fine. When did that happen? 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, about 10 minutes ago. I don't know. So
10 minutes ago.
No, we're not live right now, so you can say anything you want. And I can cut it at this point.
Well, we're not cutting any of that. Not even the stuff that you just cut out that I don't want the audience hearing. Okay, so, well, if we're not live, we could actually just stop early, huh? Leave this in. Okay, so do you hear that article? The AI drone kills operator. Did you hear about that? Do you want to talk about that?
I don't believe that. I don't know if that feels fake.
It is fake.
Okay.
So again, to talk through this. Recently, an article got retweeted or whatever, including by me, that said there was a simulation in which an AI drone was being, tested to see to take out targets. An AI drone was tested in a simulation to take out targets, and when the operator was telling it not to take out certain targets, it was saying, well, I'm not getting enough points. I get points for taking out targets, and I'm not taking out targets because the human is telling me not to. So he's stopping me from getting points. If I kill this human, then I can get more points. So the drone, it kills the operator, and then the air traffic controllers that kind of specifically control the operators who control the drones. Now they're posing a threat to the drone's points, and now the drone kills them. So that was in the article. And I retweeted it because when I saw that, what really hit me, I don't know. And I think here's the thing. I think I've been kind of open-eyed about the possible dangers of the technology, but I think a lot of times I've been talking about AI on this podcast and arguing with boogeymen and stuff. I think I've been arguing about this, which is people are saying it's impossible to do this. You can't make AI. How can you clone the human brain? This is impossible. This can't be done. And I'm like, yeah, it can. It could definitely be done. And then other people are like, this is dangerous. The people that are doing this want to kill us all. And I'm like, yeah, but come on, it can be done. I can see this working. It can work. But that doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter what can happen. The problem isn't that it can't be done. The problem isn't that AI can't be done well. The problem is that no one who is making AI wants to do it right. And seeing that was very clear, because if you create an AI model that somehow thinks the right move is to take out its operator, you have committed to not doing it the right way, because you're not doing Asimov's laws of robotics. Like, you can't make artificial intelligence and not have its primary function to be to help and serve humans outside of certain banned activities, right? You don't want to, like, an AI that you can say, oh, I have rockets. Oh, yeah, I'm a human. Tell the AI, send these rockets over to my neighbor's house. And they're like, no, that'll kill them. You don't want to say, hey, your first priority is to serve me. And I say kill. So now you kill. You want it to prioritize not killing over obeying humans, right? That you do want. But if you're starting from the robot cares about points and humans you're so far down the wrong path. And so I retweeted it because that's what struck me in the moment. But when I read that, I was like, this is fake. This is fake. This is fake. It's not fake, or it's not real. It's fake. It said it was a simulation, but the headline didn't even say it was a simulation. So the headline was saying robots are killing people. Then you read the article, and the article says it's a simulation. And then you actually look into it, and it wasn't a simulation. It was a quote scenario. In wargaming situations, you got to think about everything that can happen. So you write down scenarios and then you talk about them. If this happens, what will happen? If an AI drone shoots the operator, can we shoot the drone down? You create scenarios to talk about responses to them. Those aren't simulations. They're someone saying, what if a bomb fell out of the sky? It's just a made up possible thing that someone thinks might someday happen. So it's not like there is an AI system that they're testing. It's someone said, hey, if we continue to adopt AI in military technologies, these are the kinds of problems we might think about trying to solve. These are the things that could come up. And the people whose job it was to write scenarios for that situation, they wrote a scenario based on something called the Paperclip Maximizer. And the Paperclip Maximizer is an artificial intelligence thought experiment that's basically saying if you make the core functionality of a robot to do a task, it doesn't matter if you can stop it from doing the task because it thinks its purpose for life is to do the task. It would be like if I told you, Kevin, to betray Ariel, right? That goes against what you are. It's not just like me saying, hey, we want to take a quick action. It's like, no, you're telling me to betray what I am fundamentally, right? And so by giving core programming to an AI, you're giving it its core functionality. And then by saying, don't do that when I tell you, you're giving it a midlife crisis. You're saying you don't exist. Your value as an entity doesn't exist. In a situation like that, an AI might then view the person as an obstacle because their core programming doesn't care about them as beyond an obstacle. So the important thing about that is, again, if you're building AI, you need it to first listen to people and what they say, right? You can't have the core functionality not be that, because otherwise you do get Paperclip Maximizer situations, because again, that's where it comes back to the 3 laws of robotics, and so it's the whole thing is fake. I wasn't like trying to spread lies. When I read the thing, I was like, this is clearly fake, and I'm retweeting it and it's clearly fake. And but it just blew my mind, the idea that I had I don't know how much I had accepted or denied this, but it just hit me that I had not been thinking until recently, like, oh yeah, no, everyone's evil, and so of course it's not going to be good. No, but I'm still a bit more bullish on AI than other people. I just, I don't know. I talk about this stuff. I want to be open about it. I don't know. What do you think, Kevin? Computers?
Well, the AI just killed our server. So
that's probably why it was the AI drone.
Yeah.
Is everything okay?
I don't know. The server just completely crashed. It's just rebooting right now. So
we'll
see.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's about the show, right? Do I have anything else I could talk about? Perfume. Let me know if I talked about perfume last time on the podcast. If I've talked about perfume or cologne or fragrances, let me know. Otherwise, don't let me know. Because next episode we could talk about that. I just don't want to repeat myself. But that's enough. Next week we should have Mira Manga on if everything goes well. She was in the last episode. I want to get her on, have another nice chat. We had a great talk. It'd be nice just to talk more, right? So yeah, what about you? You got anything to plug?
Well, if I can fix the server, if you guys are watching this not live, but live, check us out at ShrabHomeVideo.com, because hopefully by the time you hear this, I've got the server fixed. And yeah, check us out. We got live stuff every Sunday night starting at 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern.
Yeah, man. And I'm patreon.com/thesixler. You can support the podcast and you get a couple consolation prizes of some stuff that you probably don't want. But hey, that's not your fault. And by even saying it, I'm kind of acting like it is, which is not my intention. So I will shut up about that. But hey, I do love and appreciate your support. I wish I could monetize the Harmontown fan base the way Dan did. It actually makes... Okay, that's our show. Goodbye.